am great.
Great. Awesome.
How are you?
I am good. I am good. Welcome everyone to the Life, Love, and Money Show. We're all here and ready to go. I'm so excited. So, we
Yep.
have so much to talk about today. We got some great questions submitted to us, and I think we need to roll into these questions because they are so important. There is such a value to these questions. Man, we've got some goodies today. You ready?
I am. Are you? Oh, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
You cut out. I don't know if it's me. I hope
Oh
it's
my
not.
goodness. Am I cutting out still?
You're good right now. You're good right now.
Okay. Oh my. So, okay. So here we are with the Life, Love, and Money Show. And can you still hear me?
Yes, you are good.
Okay, great. With my lovely co-host, Jen Fontanilla, my co-host who is a money coach, a fabulous money coach. So let's roll right into these questions because we got some goodies this week that were submitted to us and there's so much to go over here. So let's do this. And I took some notes because I want to make sure that I cover a lot of the information here just because it is so valuable and there's so many takeaways today. So the question is, my partner and I have such different communication styles where I am loud and he just is quiet and shuts down during a heated discussion. I feel like we never get anywhere or talk about important stuff because he just shuts down. What can I do? So, there are multiple factors that influence how we communicate. I'm going to roll right into this because there's so much here, so much depth. So, we as individuals learn how to communicate in our relationships because of we have a certain personality, certain social exposure, what was modeled for us, and we also have the responsibility to choose how we claim to or do communicate with others. That is so important. So we our communication styles are formed early on, very early on. So I want to get into the specifics. I don't want to get into the specifics rather about personality because that's a whole different topic. But what I do want to talk about are some of the tips and tricks in regards to communication. Communication in most any relationship as well as your intimate relationships. So number one of the tips is based on this question, you're already familiar, you're already aware. And that's really good that you're aware that there is a different communication style amongst you, between you and your significant other. So that awareness is important. So what do you do with that awareness? After you find that you're so aware, what do you do? So what you can do is start identifying a few things. Why, your own vulnerabilities. Start looking inward and saying, well, what makes me a little bit more vulnerable? What makes me resistant to being vulnerable to my partner? What makes me feel insecure about being open and not resistant to, and being resistant to the communication or the open communication, or maybe even the emotions or the sensitivity of it all? So what really impacts that for you? So understand your own vulnerabilities. So identifying about, you know, where that might have come from. That might take some work because it might come from somewhere way, way, way back. And you want to touch in or tap into that because it's going to help not just this relationship, but the other relationships that you get into and that communication. So be present. Here's another tip: be present. So when you are talking to somebody, don't get distracted. Put down the phone, put it down. Start doing some reflective listening, letting your partner know that you understand what they're talking about. If you don't know what they're talking about and you have questions, ask the questions. It's okay to ask questions. Also be enthusiastic about what they're saying. I'm not saying going, oh my God, you're so exciting.
Hey,
Not
don't do
saying that
that.
at all.
He may not want to talk to you. Don't do that.
What I am saying though is nodding, body, like leaning inward. I get that. I understand what you're saying. Oh, I heard that you said A, B, or C. I get that you feel strongly about this. Those kinds of things will start breaking down those walls that, that vulnerability that you feel like resistant to actually open up to somebody. It'll start kind of broadening that and opening that up and making you feel more comfortable about the communication, about maybe even the relationship. It will start helping you grow that relationship. So be present, identify your vulnerabilities. Also, have a clear understanding or objective about what you're communicating. So many times, what we say and how we say it our message can get lost based on how much we say, or if the person even understands what we're talking about, right? So if we're not specific and we don't get clear on what we're actually saying, how do we expect anybody else to understand what we're saying? So for instance, today I text somebody and I was like, hey, they want to know A, B, and C. And the person goes, I don't really get what that means. And I was like, okay, how can I break this down a little better? Not to take offense to it, but how can I break it down a little better so that they get a clear understanding of what I'm trying to say? And I was like, okay. And I was able to do that and put in quotes what somebody else had said so I could translate that accordingly. They were like, oh, okay. So this is what you can do, or this is like, this is what we can say to, support that person. So I was like, okay. So it just took an extra step to really help communicate that. And when this stuff, texting gets involved, it becomes a whole different ball game, right?
Oh my goodness. Oh yes. And the funny thing is, how many times have you texted something and the person goes like, why are you mad? And you're like, I'm not mad. And like texting is oh my gosh, how many fights has texting caused? Because like, we can't hear the tonation and the voice. We can't hear how it's really being communicated. And yeah, I totally know what you're saying.
Seriously. And don't write in all caps, please. You're not yelling at me. You don't want to yell at anybody, because if you're writing in all caps, people might think you're yelling at them. So try not to write in all caps, and be clear. Throw up an emoji every once in a while as to, yeah, I'm laughing, I'm having fun, or I might be a little perturbed. Yeah, you're a little angry. So people are kind of clear about where you're coming from.
Yes.
You want to be honest, but you also want to be clear. You want to be clear about your message. So here's another distinction. Are you communicating in direct ways? Are you communicating where you actually are telling the person what you need? Or are you blanketing that in humor and sarcasm? And humor is okay. Adding a little levity. If you've got some questions out there, throw them in, by the way. We want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions. As we are answering these questions, we also want to hear from you. Throw up a like, throw up a question or a comment. But here's the thing. Are you being direct or indirect about your communication? And many times that looks like it's masked. Sometimes when we're being indirect, that's masked by humor or sarcasm. I used to go to college with a friend, and she would laugh at everything. I mean, it didn't matter if she was pissed, if she was happy, if she was sad, laughter was everything. But she was also masking how she was really feeling. And so you couldn't really get from her or draw out from her, like, hey, is she okay?
Oh my gosh. I can totally picture this. It's like, it's that person, that friend that goes like, oh, I was just joking. Yes! It's always those phrases. So if you're saying that, check it out. It might be you masking, like some are saying.
Yes. Great tip, Jen. Tune into yourself. Tune into your own behavior. Tune into your mannerisms, into your body language. Be a reflective listener. Identify your vulnerabilities. Lean in. Understand. Let them know that you care about what they're saying. So if you're dealing, and I want to be clear about this, if you're dealing with a serious situation, try not to mask it in humor or sarcasm, because a lot of times that if you're feeling very serious about an issue and you're like, yeah, I get you, I might not get you.
Yeah. A little too much laughing. I'm trying to be serious here. That's a little too much laughing.
I mean, it's okay to interject some levity, But seriously, if you have something serious to say and you want to get your point across, it's not, you don't have to be mad about it, but just, make sure that you say it in a way that you're communicating it so somebody understands what you're saying. So, my final suggestion is, if you've tried all these different tips and tricks and you feel like it's just not getting anywhere, you're going to have to look at your investment in the relationship. And by what I mean by that is look at it and then take it to the next step. Go seek some help if you need it. Go seek some additional support regarding that relationship, or even still better yet, some support about your own things that might be going on, that might be putting a block on growing a relationship or that relationship or your friendships. So, really important tips here. If you have any questions, please throw them out to me because we want to hear from you. Every week we come here because we want to provide 30 minutes of free coaching, and we're answering these questions because they have been submitted to us and we want to be a support. So ask your questions. You can DM us your questions on the Life, Love, and Money page on Facebook page. You can DM your questions to Jen Fontanilla, Money Coach, on Facebook, or Core Women on Facebook. You can also DM your questions to Twitter, the Life, Love, and Money page on Twitter. There are so many ways that you can get a hold of us. So make sure you reach out to us because we want to hear from you. And there it is. And let's go on to our second question, shall we? All right. So our second question of the day that we received, and it's a goodie. So tune in, have your friends tune in right now, because this is all about finances. So when should you start planning for retirement? And what are some of the best ways to look after your financial stability or getting the most out of your money? Such a good question, and so much material here for Jen.
Yes. I just want to give it up for my co-host, Dr. Summer. Amazing advice. I always love listening to what she has to say about your questions. So let's just drop some hearts. And if you haven't done already, hit that share button for somebody who this could be helpful for, somebody that you love and like, and that could really, really use this advice. Hit that share button. And so with that said, thank you for your support and for being here, and drop some hearts and reactions and emojis and all that great stuff. We love it. Yeah. So anyways, to go to this question, when it comes to retirement, one of the things that I have advised people many, many times is that the earlier, the better. So it's not a situation where like, well, by the time you are 17 and a half, that's when you should start looking. And I share the story of my son. He's now 9 years old, but ever since he was a baby, I had opened an account for him. And granted, I'm his mom and I've been doing this. So of course I had that inside knowledge to do that. But that doesn't mean it's too late for you. And so what I did was I opened an account for him, an investment account. And so any birthday, Christmas, money, whatever, it just goes into that account to compound and grow over the years. And the thing is, I just, and I want to add that I wasn't in a situation where I wanted him to just like, hey, you got $100. Let's go to the store and buy whatever you want. Like, I made that personal decision. And I'm not saying if you didn't do that, I'm not condemning you, but that's what I did. And so going back to our original question, it's never too early. Think about it. You're never going to say like, man, I shouldn't have started that early. You're never going to say, right? It's really obviously the opposite. Oh, I wish I started earlier. So the basic, simplest answer to the question is, the earlier, the better. And here's the thing. Time is a commodity. It's the one commodity in this entire universe you cannot make more of. You can make more money, but time you cannot make more of. And so it's to your advantage. The earlier you can start, the earlier that you can get into the habit and discipline, because it takes discipline, especially if you're one of those people who like, I suck at saving. And you all said this. I've heard it over the last 15, 16 years. I suck at saving. I can't do it. I can't stick to the budget. I can't this. When you do it earlier, it becomes a habit. And the more that you ingrain that into your system and into your mentality and your mindset, then the better you become over the years. And so the earlier, the better, because it behooves you. You take advantage of compounding interest, especially if you're in a situation where you're invested in the market or whatever kind of product or strategy you're using. The earlier, the better, because it can grow over time. This is how nerdy I am. I love spreadsheets. I love making income calculators and all this crazy stuff on Google spreadsheets. Like that's how nerdy I am. And I like looking at illustrations. And an illustration in the insurance world is like this crazy spreadsheet that shows you if you put the money here, over time it grows to here. And I'm telling you, I get excited when I see, wow, if this person put this much money in year 1, year 10, they're done. And then later on, by age 65, they can just get money like income tax-free, spit it out like that. I mean, how could you not get excited about that tax-free money? And so what the crazy thing is, the earlier they start, I mean, this is how some people retire early. This is because they were privy to the information. And so the earlier, the better, because you're allowing the time for it to compound. The thing that's really sad is I've had people over the years, they're in their 50s and their 60s, and then they realize it's a little too late, but then they do realize and they say, you know what do I do? I want to retire, but I haven't really done that much. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you have? And they'll tell me like, well, I have this, I have a 401k here. And I'm like, well, how much does it have? They're like 23,000. And then they have something else here. And it's about like 3,000. And let's be real. Then especially depending on where you live, like that. And even if you think about it, even this simply, think about your annual salary. If that already alone isn't enough, and you add up what you have in total assets, is that even going to sustain you for even a couple months? And so if you even just start there at the basic level, you'll realize, oh my gosh, I don't have enough. I mean, you can't even make it a year. And now you're trying to think, well, if I'm going to retire now, that's like a 30, 40-year time frame span if in some people's cases. And, I was sharing with Summer earlier that I have a grandma who turned 97 this past summer.
Wow.
And it's crazy. I have longevity in my family. So I really got to make sure you gotta invest. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be that cat lady, with 50 cats and feeding them milk like that got milk commercial. Yeah, I don't want to be that. But I think about my grandma who's 97, and I'm like, my gosh, if I stopped working and I'm expecting money to come in at age 65 or whatnot, that's like a 30-something year time frame.
Yeah.
Not working. And so your money has to be already working for you. It has to become this income generating machine, spitting monthly income to you. And if you haven't even thought about how is that happening now for me, am I taking the proper steps to put money towards this? We have to look at it, which leads me to the next portion of the question about like, well, what do I look out for? What should I be looking at when it comes to where the money goes? I think one of the most important things that we all need to do is stop and make sure you are paying attention. It's too often in the last 15-something years I've been doing this. I see too many people where I don't know what this is. I don't want to look at it. I'm just going to forget about it. And it's no different than like when some of us don't want to go to the doctor. We don't want to hear what the doctor has to say. We don't want to find out what the diagnosis is. But the thing is, you can't get help if you don't even take that step to look at what your situation is. And I think before you even try to start thinking about strategies and this and this and this, you have to take the time to plan it. People will spend more time planning a 3-day weekend trip to Vegas than they will to stop and plan the next 30 years of their life.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And here's another thing, Jen. They will listen to their neighbor or somebody they don't even know and ask, hey, what do you think about that? Who are you asking? What do they know? So what do you say about that when somebody is just like taking this random information and not really knowing their why?
Oh my goodness, such a great question. Yeah, I want you to also be careful out there. And I'm not saying it's bad to get opinions, but you have to gather the opinions if you want, but you have to really pay attention where you are getting your information. My brother said, and I've seen this, like a lot of the stuff that we tell you guys is because we've seen it throughout the years in our years of practice.
Yes.
Or years of doing this. And it's too often oh, well, my so-and-so, my neighbor, my sister's dog said, and I'm just like, okay, and what does your brother's best friend's dog's mom do? And then I find
Right.
out like, okay, they're this, and you're questioning what I'm telling you. And it doesn't, I think people need to start there, where, question the validity of the source. And,
Great tip.
and let me say this. If that person has had a track record where, like, hey, you know what, they might be in a field that is completely unrelated to finances, but in their own life they practice something and it worked, that I will say fine. That's probably the only caveat reason why I'll say it's okay, but for the most part, it typically is not the case. And so be careful.
Right.
Be careful where you get the information. But at the end of the day, what's so important is that you are researching the things that are being suggested to you, because often people will hit, well, you should do this, you should do Bitcoin, you should do this, oh, you should go get, do the 401k, you should, and then you do it, but at the end of the day, you don't even know why. And so when I'm working with somebody, I always want to make sure, well, why are you doing this? And a lot of times, like, well, I don't know, I heard, and then I'm like, oh, no. And that's what's so important when you are planning your retirement, when you are planning out where your money is supposed to be going, what is it supposed to be doing for you? Understand, what is the purpose? Where are you trying to go? How are you trying to get there? And a lot of times, I'm telling you all, many of you don't know. You're wandering. You get into something, you buy something, and then you don't even know what it's supposed to do for you. And then you don't know the rules of the game. And what do I mean by that? You get into a product or strategy, and then you come to me later and go like, I didn't know I was going to get penalized if I took the money out. I didn't know I couldn't take the money out for another 15 years. I didn't know that I was going to have to borrow it and pay back, 6% interest. And I want you to be very careful. So again, before you start worrying about what strategy, what product, what do I need to do? You need to know the rules. You need to know rules. Anything you get involved in, you need to know how to get out of it. And that's the problem. That's the thing that totally trips people up. When you don't take the time to stop and realize, like, what is it that I'm doing? Why am I doing this? What is this going to do for me in the future? When you don't ask yourself those things later on down the road, then at some point in time when you want to explore it, sometimes it's too late. There's a lot of damage that might have been done, or things that could have been course corrected had you paid attention. So the main point I'm trying to say in this whole question is that it is so important that you take the time to plan. It is so important that you take time to set aside to look at your situation. And, I know it can be like the doctor situation where I don't want to see it, I don't want to know, but when are you going to do it? Please don't be like that person that refuses to go to the doctor because they feel pain. You're feeling you might be experiencing some kind of financial pain in your stomach, and you just want to continue to ignore it. Please do not be that person that finally gets help or wants to get help, and then you find out you're in stage 4 cancer.
Man, that's shocking. And it's kind of like your finances. Shocking. Like, if you don't do something about it, it's shocking. It's going to shock you. You're going to be, when it comes right down to it, at the end of the day, you're going to be like, what happened? How was I not more prepared? How can I rectify this? How, as you said, Jen, how can I course correct?
Yeah.
And here's the thing, and I want to touch back on this too. When I think about this stuff as a strategist, as a coach, and what Jen is talking about, I start thinking about objectives. Your objectives are like how you're going to do something, and you start listing those objectives. Those objectives lead to your goal, your bigger picture, the goal, the big goal. So start understanding what your objectives are, your why, your why to get to that big goal. That underlying research, that underlying information, that underlying gathering of data is so important. As Jen said, she gets excited about, constructing these various calculators, doing her financial stuff, geeking out on A, B, and C. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. I am so glad I know somebody like her, because seriously, I love that she loves that stuff, and when she talks about it, she is passionate about it. And she's passionate about it because she's done this for years, and she's been able to hone her own skills as to how to work with people and give them their options. And here's the beauty of coaching and what we're offering is giving you those options, giving you the knowledge that you need to be able to construct a plan of action that best suits you, your family, and your personal needs, your personal and professional needs. So, you have so many great tips to offer. This question
Thank
has
you.
so much here. Again, it's giving you some exciting and practical applications, helping you manage your love life. That's what we do here. That's what we do here, and we want to help you. So make sure you DM your questions. So I'm going to let you go on and finish up this question because I know there's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, I think, we pretty much said everything. I think I just want to end with like, take the time. If you have been somebody that's ignored the statements, you're lost, you don't know what's happening, or you haven't talked to the person who set up your stuff in a long time, reach out to them. And if you don't even know where they're at anymore, then reach out to me. I mean, heck, just reach out to somebody and take the time to like understand your numbers, where you're at, what needs to be course corrected, what needs to be adjusted. Because I'm telling you, it is not a good place when I have to tell somebody in their 50s that they can't retire. They can't. Well, let me tell you something. When you go to Walmart and you see that elderly person making that highlighter mark on your receipt, many of them are not there because they're bored. Many people have to continue working because they have to, not because they want to. And I don't want you to be in a position where you have to make that choice because you're forced into it versus you have the decision that, hey, I want to do this. And so I know sometimes it's difficult to think because that's such in the future or it's something that we're not thinking about, but you need to. You have to think about it because if you don't do it now, then when? When it's too late? That's not a place you want to place yourself in.
Yeah, good advice. Good advice. Start now, start early. As Jen said, start today. We have talked about so much. If you did not catch this, you can catch this on YouTube. There will be a hashtag replay, hashtag life, love, and money. Somebody might want to hear this. Share this. Share. Go over to our YouTube page, our Life, Love, and Money YouTube page with Summer and Jen, and please like our YouTube page. This is information that we're really trying to get out to folks that might need it. The 2 questions we asked today. My partner and I have such different communication styles where I am loud and he is just quiet and shuts down during a heated discussion. I feel like we never get anywhere or talk about important stuff because he just shuts down. What can I do? The second question is, when should you start planning for retirement and what are some of the best ways to look after your financial stability or getting the most out of your money? Check it out. If you missed any of this discussion, any of these questions, these answers to these questions, go to YouTube, check it out, share the YouTube page. We appreciate you. Make sure you DM your questions to us here on Facebook. DM, we want to hear from you. We're here doing live coaching every Thursday on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, every Thursday at 11:45 a.m. Pacific time, 2:45 Eastern time, every Thursday. So join us. Okay, Jen, thank you so much. We're going to get right into our nugget of wisdom.
So, Summer, why don't you tell us your nugget of the day before we sign off?
All right. My nugget of wisdom is practice being vulnerable. What does that mean? That means just opening yourself up, kind of letting down those walls and being vulnerable. Try it. Try it today because it might really open up that relationship. It might start building the relationship, a relationship that you're in, be it a friendship, an intimate relationship. It really might start really helping you connect better with that person. Understand your vulnerabilities. Look inside. Take a deep dive. Understand what you're resistant to in regards to being vulnerable. But practice being vulnerable. And Jen, what is
it?
Thank you. And what is your nugget of wisdom?
Mine is trust yourself. I think especially in this day and age where we have so much freaking information coming at us, and you have 5,000 billboards, 70,000 thoughts coming at us, and those are not statistics I've made up. Too many things are coming at us, and then sometimes we're like, oh, what do I listen to? Oh, I mean, at the end of the day, I know I keep saying that. At the end of the day, trust yourself, because there's sometimes that moment where we're ignoring what our inner self and our gut, our spirit is saying, and we want to keep pushing it away. And I want to urge you, this is when it's time to slow down It's time to just meditate or just pray, whatever practice you want to do. I think we forget to do that. We're so busy and inundated with so much information that we forget to do that. Because I swear and I promise you, when you do that, when you allow your brain to slow down, that's when the creativity can come in. That's when we're able to hear answers and we're like, oh, I've been ignoring that. I haven't been paying attention to that. And I urge you to do that when you find yourself in those moments so that you can really tune into what your body is saying and where it's directing you to go.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, that is such a great nugget of wisdom. Thank you so much for offering that today.
Absolutely.
So if you take anything away from today, trust yourself and be vulnerable. Practice those two things. And thank you again, Jen. Thank you all for joining us for the Life, Love, and Money Show. We'll be back next Thursday. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Oh, and cheers.
Oh, yes. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen. Dr. Summer Watson is the owner of the production and coaching company Core Women, LLC, is a doctor of psychology, has a depth of experience working in both for-profit and nonprofit in human services and mental health, is a professional coach, seminar host, documentary film producer, and an author. Jen Fontania is a former financial advisor and now a certified money coach, speaker, and has published 6 books. She has worked with organizations such as the Walt Disney Company, Warner Brothers, Target, Goodwill, and the U.S. Air Force. She loves working with women and helps them master their money and mindset to empower them to build the ultimate life without worrying about money. Join Summer and Jen every week as they go live on the Life, Love, and Money Show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Very nice.
Yep.
It says we're still live.
I hit the end. It's
It's-
going like this.
Oh, it's swirling still?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So hi, guys. If this is
Hey,
fun.
everybody.
Yeah.